Yes, that is right. We are live. And if you are watching live, well, first of all, you see how cool we are. It's the first thing you notice every time we become live on Wednesdays at noon Eastern time, which is always time for the High Noon Hemp Show, or at least for the last roughly 7 years. Welcome everyone to the show. Of course, if you love hemp, if you want to know about hemp, if you just need to be around hemp, you need to hear about hemp for a little while, we got you right here. This man over here, he loves hemp. He knows just about everything you can about hemp. He's set and holds many records unrecognized about hemp. We will get to that momentarily. All of these things are true. All of these things can be found in various places on Facebook. Of course, the Temptations Beach Facebook page. If you're on the YouTube, it's the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, at Temptations on Twitter or X, whatever it is you call it. I'm Stoner Jesus. I perform various shenanigans on the interwebs, which you can check out if you would so like to. He is Beach. He loves hemp, as I said. And he is, I have no idea where Beach is. He'll tell us all about it. How are things this week in the world of Temptations, Beach?
Things are good. Things are good. I'm out on the farm, actually, for this episode. Out on the hemp, not a hemp farm, but I wish it was a hemp farm. And maybe next year might plant some hemp. We'll see, but yeah, taking care of some new goats, because the goats have joined the farm, and so that's where I am. And
It's not something you hear every day.
it is not something that you hear. I got to take my hemp sunglasses off. More about those later, and put my glasses where I can actually, my readers.
Is there some kind of music where you are, or am I having a stroke?
That was actually the chimes of the clock going off, telling us at high noon on that clock.
There you go.
Just happened, which the clock is about. It's actually only 2 minutes off. It's very impressive.
Indeed.
Because normally that clock is not so accurate. It's a very old family clock that we just had tuned up even. So
now it's famous.
It is semi-famous. And if I really told the story of the clock, it's crazy because Mary took it to a clock fixer and he fixed it and gave it back to somebody else and gave Mary a different clock. And for 6 months. We had no idea what's going on. She'd call this guy once a month, be like, you found my clock? Like, how hard is it? Like, my grandmother had marked her clock. It had her initials, you opened it up, and of course, it had her initials in it. So anyway, there's always a story about something. There's fun stuff in the clocks. Remember, folks, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. Welcome to the show. And Stoner, do you know what today is?
I kind of know. I'm sure you're about to tell me right now. What day is it, Beach?
Hemp Day. If it's the High Noon Hemp Show, it's Hemp Day.
That's right.
Welcome, everybody. That being said, let's go ahead and do our pledge. As we do every High Noon Hemp Show, I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. All right. Love it, of course. So we're getting, somewhat settled in to the new location. If you don't know, we have a parking lot and all that stuff down in North Side. So let's go ahead and do the product spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door, which is actually 2 this week, as normal. So this is our flower. Again, we have a sativa, a hybrid, an indica. This is THCA from industrial hemp, completely legal. We do a 3.5 gram bag. We do have some pre-rolls. And so stop in and try it. All I can say is you should try it. If you're spending money at the dispensary, you should try this. Do a comparison. Do a taste test comparison. I would do more of a high test comparison. Because taste is not always everything. So, of course, we also do the hemp drinks. These are the squared THC, and this is actually THC Delta 9, the exact same THC you would find at a dispensary, just extracted once again from industrial hemp, 100% legal, in a huge growing market in the beverage market, honestly. And so there's an orange and a grape. And these are very, very popular, very good. I like the grape. I'm a grape person. And so there you have those. And then, of course, we have our THC vapes. And these are, again, exact same THC that you would find, extracted 100% legally, and sold 100% legally. We have those in basically 3 different flavors. And, of course, there is a grape included in there because I got to choose these flavors, and grape is my favorite. Did I just say that? Wow. I feel like I'm having deja vu in this show already. And then the last, I'm actually going to use a clip from the show. This is a picture from the next segment in the show, not today, but from years past. You can see my pen in there. Not the pen, actually the shorts. So we have these Dash Hemp jean shorts, or what they called jorts, I believe, back in the day. If you want to go back to the 80s,
That's right.
you're feeling nostalgic, or maybe you're one of these millenniums that wants to be retro. I don't know what that even means, but that accurately describes what kids today do. I will have to say I've been wearing these quite a bit this summer. I'm the old guy in the jorts, I guess. But they are 100% hemp, made by Dash Hemp. I don't know that Dash Hemp still makes these. They may still have them available at their website. So check out Dash Hemp. I believe they're dashhemp.com. And see. But if not, we have almost every size in men's sizes from probably like 28, 30 up to 38 maybe. And so they're very, very nice. Very nice. Anyway. All right. So there's 4 from the store. The one from my door this week is actually 2, and this is my Marley speaker and Marley headphones. So the material, the blue material on the speaker is hemp, and then the black material on the top of the headphones, it goes across the top of the headphones, is hemp. And so all of their audio, the Marley line, is eco-friendly. The wood is eco-friendly. They are as eco-friendly as they can be building electronic components. And so I've been using the little speaker a lot lately because it travels well and it's a nice little speaker. And so that's why you're seeing it here on the High Noon Hemp Show Product Spotlight. 4 from the store, 2 from my door. Part of my personal collection of the largest collection of hemp goods on the planet of any human. I have set that record. Anyone that wants to try to break that record, I wholeheartedly would like them to submit their list of hemp goods. I can submit my list of hemp goods to the public maybe next week on the show. I will put my list of all the hemp goods that I own, possess, and then you can look at it and say, "Hey,
That's right.
What do I got to do?"
And you're saying to yourself right now, well, if Beaches set records, they're obviously recognized by the Guinness World Records Corporation or whoever they are. Well, spoiler alert, they're not. They don't care. They could not care less about Beach's hemp records, the ones he set, the ones he holds. They don't care.
They don't care. They don't care.
I've tweeted at them. They don't. It's unrecognized. Still, we're going to try to change that. Maybe the list will go a long way towards doing that. But often, before we talk about what Beach is wearing in his various hemp records, I like to see what the Guinness World Records is up to, see what they're focused on. And something today very interesting, because you heard Beach mention the goats. Beach also has chickens. So Beach might be interested in this one. Whoops, wrong one. Here we go. Let's try this again. Beach might be interested in this one. It's the world's oldest chicken.
Oh, my.
Technically the oldest hen in the world. 14 years and 69 days. Apparently, Pearl has arthritis to the Guinness World Records. But there you go.
Poor old girl. And actually, I have sad news. We lost our last chicken.
Oh.
Yeah. She was the sole last remaining one, and the fox finally got her.
Oh,
she was doing pretty well for a while. So we will have chickens again. They are awesome. We'll have to once again make sure that they are more secure. Which we actually have a more secure pen, outdoor pen area because of the goats. And so hopefully chickens again.
That's right.
But
and congrats to Pearl.
That's a good goal then to have. Now I have the next chickens that we get. The goal is to have one live to at least 14, because that is, because I think you only get 6 to 8.
I have no idea.
Out of a lot of them, if I remember correctly. And speaking of the goats again, we are soliciting if any viewers out there have any advice to give us on the goats. We are more than welcome to take that advice as well.
Send in your goat tips. Beach.
But for now,
you can kind of see some of what Beach is wearing, at least from the chest up. But we like to do it all the way, because as you know, Beach wears hemp head to toe all the time, not just Wednesdays, every single day. As I've said many times before, this question that I'm about to ask Beach works anywhere. You see Beach out in the wild, you ask him this question, he will tell you exactly what's up. If you ask, as I'm about to ask, what are you wearing, Beach?
That's right. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you know.
Blue.
I'm feeling very blue today. But it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Especially when it is UK blue. Go big blue. But on top there, that fair hemp hat, that is because it is so hot out, and we have been working outside so much, you may notice that it's a little older and stained up a little bit. It's part of my line of summer hats I call sweat hats. And it's the hemp hats that I want to wear that I'm okay with sweating in. Because I have done some damage to some of my favorite hats. But anyway, and these are also easily like the hats that I can wash easily. So I can eventually I'll get right in the shower with this hat and wash it. But anyway, well worn. One of my favorite hats ever. It's got the hemp and the Ford symbol, basically, which is a note to the fact that Henry Ford built the car out of hemp and it ran on hemp fuel. I have been wearing my sunglasses more, and so breaking out the old hemp eyewear. And I'm going to go ahead. I did find my original pair of hemp eyewear, and it actually came with a little note that says, I am one of the first people to own a pair of hemp eyewear sunglasses on the entire planet. Hello, Stoner back. Because we're all stoners around here, that's for sure. I'm breaking out my necklace too. For the record, that hemp necklace there, was woven by me personally back in the day when I was young and I wore such items. And And when hemp was like everyone on the planet, every kid, everybody had to have a hemp necklace. It was an amazing time in the hemp world when hemp necklaces were the trend. And it didn't make any difference who you were. You know, athletes, nerds, everybody had hemp jewelry. Um, Again, looking back, that was probably about 20 years ago, at least. Again, it's amazing how time flies. Um, but it was definitely a trend. And then, of course, you know, we had access to all these very cool beads, and so I strung this one up. And actually, I was known for actually weaving clasps into, instead of tying them on. You know, the thing back in the day was just tie the necklaces on. You left them on. That was the thing, man. You just wore it 24/7, and that's how cool they were back in those days. So my hemp choker made by Beach. The T-shirt is a Young Maven Hemptations University tee. My shorts, breaking out an old pair, one of my favorites. These were such a favorite of mine that I wore a hole in them. And so recently I found my sewing kit. I darned them, as my grandmother would say, and now I can wear them in public again because they don't have a hole in the butt. And there they are. And those are Ecolution. And Ecolution, man, when they were on the top of their game, they were producing some unbelievably great products. I think that there is still a Ecolution line out there. And so they still may be making some great products. Yeah, it was nothing to their products that I wore a hole in it. It was because literally I wore these like every other day there for a while. You know, because they were probably one of my only pair of hemp shorts that far back. You know, I didn't have as many to select from as I do now, that's for sure. Another record I need to set, and I should have started earlier, but I could probably still do it, is just go wear a different pair of hemp shorts every day for as long as I can. In the pocket there, my Green Spring Technology pen, per usual when I can. The boxer briefs are Hemptopia. The no-show socks are made by Hemp Traders. And then those shoes could possibly be, if not my first pair of hemp shoes, they could have been my first pair of hemp Adidas. And so, but those are hemp shell toes, and they are probably at least at this point 25 years old. Adidas was very early to release full lines, and they were all shell toes or a shell toe called the Super Modified, which is different. And I need to look at these. I don't. They're in the other room because I have my shoes off right now because I'm in the house. And I don't think those are the Super Modified, which have a wider stripe than the regular, and the shell toe is a little different. But those are super old. Vintage, over 20 years old, so vintage. And again, you can see they're coming apart a little bit. And I try not to wear them as much these days as I used to. So there you have it. If you're wondering, Beach, you feeling blue today? Well, yes, I am. And now you know, what are you wearing, Beach, on the High Noon Hemp Show. All right. Well, I'm breaking out a three beach commercial. So let's go to commercial. We'll come back with some news. How far does this Hemptations thing go? Our customers have been scoring hemp all the way from O'Brienville to Sharonville, north side to Dayton. What do you mean? We don't do mean. We don't do mean. I want the facts. Go to Hemptations.com or any one of the locations. Having Hemptations?
There you go.
There you have it. And I want to say, for the record, when that little now open sign and then it says 7,000 so many days earlier, I exactly figured out at that time period. So we could actually figure out exactly when I made that commercial, because it was literally 7,500 or whatever it was days after we opened. So I really had a good time making those 3 beach commercials. More of those to come on future High Noon Hemp shows. So you got to come back next week. Watch the show again. We'll be here. All right, let's get on with the news, and then we can get everybody on with their days. So this is kind of a fun little hemp hero post, and this is just one of those things I found on the Facebook page. Oh, I didn't. I thought I made it a little bit smaller, but there you go. This is the hemp hero George Schlichten, who patented an advanced hemp decortator. Okay, now, so the decortator is the machine, a machine that helped break those hemp stalks. Now, it all started with a hemp brake, and I've talked about the hemp brake before. And so the hemp brake was what they would actually drag out into the field. I think I did send a picture over of the hemp brake. There it is. And so they would drag this out into the field, and these were heavy planks of wood that were alternating heavy planks of wood on the bottom. And and this is after the hemp would sit in the field for 6 months. It was harvested, and then normally it was put up into a shock, which is just kind of a pyramid shaped hemp bundle, and they would be stacked all around the field that way. And then that would sit through the winter and through the spring and get rained on and start to deteriorate. And that would help deteriorate it enough that it was easier to break it to get to that fiber inside. So they would drag this hemp brake out into the field, and they would put it right beside one of those big shocks, and they would just start taking that hemp and laying it in there, picking it up and dropping it down, laying it in, and what we call hurd would drop to the ground, and the hurd is what we use in hempcrete or for animal bedding. You can make paper out. You make paper out of the hurd, and all these things, and that would just drop to the ground and would be left in the field. And again, I am sure that would work well as an aerator when they plowed for the next year's seasons and whatnot. But it was just waste at the time. They would just then drag the fiber out, and then the fiber would go to the processing and be made into whatever materials it was going to be made into at the time. And so then that led to, I found this picture of in the late 1800s decortator. And again, you would just feed those hemp stalks into the machine, and you can just see it's just basically just kind of big wheels that are separated that it would just, I believe, break it up. And again, probably do the same thing. This is something that you would take out, and they would have taken out into the fields at the time, I'm sure. And then it would drop that herd still, I think, through the slits, and then probably by the end of it all, you end up with your fiber. And International had one, and I'm going to find, because I had an International catalog, and it actually had like all their old machinery and whatnot, and I found that they were making a decortator in the 30s. And this last picture is basically the decortators that were existing at the time of Prohibition, when the Marijuana Tax Act was passed in 1937. Breaking hemp for its fiber was a huge industry in the United States. This is a very large scale compared to where they started, large scale breaking of the stalk. And you can see where the herd kind of dropped down And then all of that fiber just kind of comes out all nice and neat and ready to go once again to those processing plants that we're all over. And so all of a sudden that entire industry was shut down. And as I predicted for years and years and years, when we did finally legalize again in the United States, we would take we would 100% modernize these things to make it easier. And we have, you know, there's I think it's called the Herd 1000 or something, which is basically a portable machine that you probably could pull into the field if you wanted to and break your herd or break your stock right in the field, all the way up to, I've shown it on the show, 100-foot long machine that you just throw your hemp stalk in one end and it breaks everything up. Including separating the lignin, which is another byproduct of decoritating the stalk. And it's kind of more of a powder form. And that's the binding agent in there. And so I've always said, and I haven't seen it yet, and then I have started seeing products using lignin, not specifically hemp lignin. So if you know of a business that's actually using hemp lignin in their business, and again, I picture it being used in like adhesives or something because it's a binding agent to begin with. But I know it has purposes in the real world, and in fact, I think they use lignin in the paper making process, kind of a reverse, because that's why hemp, what made the first paper so effective, I'm sure, was that lignin that was in there as a binding agent to begin with. And so, I really look forward to large scale use because that's, once again, probably the least used byproduct at this point. What's interesting is I really wanted the fiber to be the thing to take off, but now it's actually the herd because hempcrete building and those things is really taking off. But again, that fiber is still getting used and more. Patagonia is using hemp fiber, American-grown hemp fiber in their clothes. Americhanre, I'm pretty sure they're using American-grown hemp fiber in their insulation, and so it's we are there. And like I said on most of the shows, the technology or the availability of these technologies does need to keep going. If you're somewhere in the Midwest, building a hemp processing machine is needed. We need more of them. I would also suggest South Dakota because I don't know who's processing up there, but they're the largest grower of hemp in the country. So, we need more and more of these new processing, and getting it to where, again, to where the fiber industry wants it to be the consistency so they can make it into whatever kind of material. And, that's the goal. And there are companies doing that. And they're smart. I know North Carolina has one because North Carolina is the largest producer of material in the United States. And so someone was paying attention when they decided to build a hemp processing facility in North Carolina. And this was years and years ago. They were one of the first, even. So, right on, right on. Well, thank you, Schlichten, I guess, for getting the decoritator game started officially in the United States with a patent. I don't know. I never saw a picture of one of his decoratators. I only saw the plans, the patented plans. And so I don't know if he actually ever built it or not. And it was different than the modern, I say modern, 20s, 30s decoritator, I can't, sometimes I feel like I'm saying it wrong, machines, because they were kind of where they would run the hemp like a big S, multiple S's, and so it would have to twist quickly. Where this one and the German one, it was just kind of more of a straight shot through spinning wheels that I think have a little bit different consistency, so they break it up a little bit differently and separate that herd. And I say herd like that because herd is not a word that's even in the dictionary, but it is 100% associated with hempcrete and animal bedding made from the hemp stalk. A lot of places call it shiv, which is also confusing because a shiv, not just the thing you get knifed with in prison, but is also a piece of wood that is angled, that is meant to go under and raise things to a degree that you like. So that has, confusing terms too. I'm just waiting, and I don't know how long it takes for a word to be used or how many times it takes. And maybe I need to submit it to Webster for an official word. But there is no doubt in my mind that if they even did a Google search, a Google whatever of the word herd, there's millions and millions of references to it. And once again, it is not a officially recognized word. Go try to look it up in the dictionary right now. If you find it in a dictionary, let me know what dictionary that is, because it might be the first goal to get in a recognized as I don't, I get the broken up material of the hemp stalk used in hempcrete or animal bedding and paper. I don't know. But now I'm going to have to come up with an official definition so I can submit it. Let it be known I'm the first one to come up with this idea, even though someone else will probably do it. I'm okay with that. Let's get herd officially recognized as a word because I'm a word person.
Herd is the word.
And my word OCD says you keep using a word that is not technically a word. What's in a word? A lot of letters or a little bit of letters.
Usually.
Anyway. All right. Well, Senator Rand Paul showed up at the Hempwood, the newest Hempwood facility. They got so big they had to get bigger, and he cut the very first piece of hempwood. And I think what's interesting again, and I really wish they would have shown a more close up of this. Again, it just looks exactly like a 2x4, and so I think it's just they're just going to be blowing it up in the construction world with natural materials, one way or another. And again, for reference, if it was not for Senator Rand Paul, we would have had a terrible, terrible clause added to a spending bill that would have outlawed most of the cannabinoids extracted from industrial hemp, which was proposed by Mitch McConnell, who was the guy who basically made industrial hemp legal back in 2013 federally. And so it's so crazy, And again, he was trying to protect the kids. But anyway, thank you, Senator Rand Paul, for stepping up for hemp. Once again, Kentucky is doing every single thing right for their hemp industry. And I only say that because Ohio is continuing. Well, we did do something right recently, which was just go ahead and revert back to the federal standards. But they're still not doing, as far as processing and manufacturing, you're not going to want to do that here. And they're still not really doing the things. But hopefully we can promote more hemp growing in Ohio. But Kentucky's doing it right. Kentucky, you can grow it on the rolling hills of Kentucky, just like tobacco. or soy, which they do a lot of down there anyway. And so you, more hemp wood on the way. And this facility was huge. I'm pretty sure I showed a picture of it when they had just laid the concrete, and it is a massively sized facility. So they're going to be chugging out the hemp wood. And again, they do, I believe, 2x4s, 4x4s, flooring, a lot of flooring, cool flooring, and who knows what else. I haven't checked recently to see, but they're pushing it out. Okay, so this was kind of interesting. So I just came across this. It was like they were promoting Hempcrete, the Green Revolution in Construction, as a class. Okay, and then they were just like what you will learn kind of thing. And just so you know, it's everything that I have taught you here on the High Noon Hemp Show, as far as why hempcrete is great. Great insulator. It breathes, so it's antifungal. Um, is this? This is actually that's actually different. Save that one for later. But again, flame retardant. Now I did just see that. I think it was again Ameris Hofre. I always say Zenre, the French word for hemp, did an official testing of the flame retardation of hempcrete, and it says it passed some standards. So I'll have to look that up and see what was going on. Mm-hmm. And again, there's a video that's over probably 10 or 15 years old, and it's so funny how people will post other videos of this happening or show, but there was a video on YouTube from over 15 years ago, and I know who posted it originally, and I think it's got millions of views. But it's actually a video of a flame, propane flame, being put to a hempcrete wall, and it's 7.5 hours, I believe, that he lets it go. And I don't believe anybody else has gone. I don't believe anybody else that I know of has done longer than that. I think the test to get qualified for the wall that for this standards was only like an hour. Which makes sense because, in all honesty, you're only going to get high flame heat in a fire if there's wood. And again, if there's hardly any wood in this hempcrete structure, it doesn't make any difference. It's more like this is what's great for building in fire zones, and this is what's great for all its other reasons. But that's just one of the great things about it. Again, antimicrobial, antibacterial. Not only does the hemp, while it's growing, sequester more carbon, but it continues to sequester carbon in hempcrete form. And so, yay on that. And so there's so many, it supersedes everything else in its earth friendliness, safety, health benefits, all those things in concrete. And again, the only thing we can't do is the load bearing. We get load bearing hempcrete developed, and it will be the game changer, even though everyone is still they're just blowing it into a frame. And again, you can still build a solid hempcrete wall with that frame, stay structurally sound in their minds, and move on. And we've seen everything up to the Australian hotel, I believe, is 12 stories. 12 or 13 stories, probably 12. Most people don't go 13 just because. And so I think it's a 12-story hotel. And that's the tallest hempcrete structure. Paris seems to be churning out 5-story, 6-story um, dwelling buildings quite often these days from hempcrete. They love the French. The very first modern French or hempcrete house was built in France in the late 80s. And so this is definitely nothing new to them. Well, apparently hemp is dead in Mississippi. If you are in Mississippi, there will be no hemp industry. And this is consumable hemp in any form. CBD doesn't make any difference what it is because, and this is this is an interesting one. And this is, what's crazy about this is this ban could conceivably hold up. And again, we'll destroy the entire everybody that buys CBD and all that. It's gone. Because what Mississippi is saying is you cannot sell consumable hemp that's not approved by the FDA. Well, guess what? There are no over-the-counter consumable hemp products, nor CBD or any of the CBG, CBN, any of those. None of those are approved by the FDA because they refuse. They are holding steady to their refusal to make a judgment call on CBD. Okay, I think there's enough studies out there to prove that it is generally regarded as safe. And most of those studies include millions of people in the United States that continue to use CBD on a daily basis and have been doing for years and years and years. And so I don't know what more proof we need that it is generally regarded as safe, which is GRAS, which is all we need for them to say, to declare it like CBD as a supplement. So we can put it on the shelf and call it a supplement. You can't call it a supplement right. And so, this is an interesting game that Mississippi is playing because going into it, once again, that makes all consumable hemp, no matter what it is. And other than actually seed oil, because seed oil, grain oil, food product oil is approved. But the CBD, CBG, CBN, THCA, all of those things, none of those things are approved by the FDA to be consumed. So, well played, Mississippi. We'll see how this works out, one way or another. All right. So here's the graphic. From soil to shelter. The article is called From Soil to Shelter, the Rise of Earthen Materials in Modern Organic Homes. Okay. Now, what I find interesting is, so Cobb, again, is one of the original, you can find almost everything on your own property building type material. Now, and I don't know, I have to go back into one of the 300 shows. I actually showed where they were using hemp to make cob. Because basically the cob is supposed to be something that you should be able to collect. Once again, the clay, the mud, the vegetative material, and all those things, the straw that they have here, is the best collected locally. Best case scenario collected locally. That's what makes cob so eco-friendly. Is only part of it is obviously the clay, and then things aren't renewable. But we did, show where you can use, again, hemp. So they were growing the hemp. They were getting the water from a local stream, um, sourcing the mud and then making a hemp cob. So hemp can also be used in the cob. Adobe. My first bag of hemp hurd, and it was this huge, okay, that I bought off of this kid that was driving around the country promoting hemp adobe building. And so, again, you can see Adobe is also very earth friendly because it's locally sourced materials. Um, and, once you build, then you don't need those materials again. We're not talking about building subdivisions, we're just talking about building dwellings to live in for as long as you want to live in. But once again, hemp can be used to make an Adobe style material. And there are Adobe style homes made from what we would call the next on the list. Oh, not rammed earth. Rammed earth is actually um, one of the ones you cannot use hemp in. But now we have hempcrete. And so we call it hempcrete, but hempcrete really kind of is cob, although there's no lime. And so that's the difference. We still have to use lime in the hempcrete, and that's what gives us, I think, the um, structural conformity of life. So it will last a lot longer. I don't know, and I may have to go look up, what the length of cob is. What's the oldest cob house? How long does cob last? We know that there are parts of a bridge in France made out of hempcrete that are 600 years old. We know there's still hempcrete that exists, I believe, in India, maybe Egypt. I have to go back and look again. That's thousands of years old, or 1,000 year plus old, not thousands years old. And so, um, you know, so there's really 3 out of the 5 on the list now. Oh, actually, 4 out of 5. I forgot because earth bags. All right. Well, we'll just make those bags out of hemp. Why not use hemp material to make the bags? And I think that this is obviously more of a temporary type situation when it comes to building with earth bags. But, you know, take that earth and stuff it in a hemp bag. And I think the right hemp bags, and again, there was something that was interesting about this. I think they mentioned something about the moisture or whatnot, as again, that hemp material, antimicrobial, antibacterial. Yes, the fiber, the material is also antimicrobial, antibacterial. And so, therefore, that earth bag wall system or building system would have those benefits as well. So, 4 out of 5 of these earth friendly, and these are, based on, once again, older uses of construction, not modern uses of construction. Hempcrete is, again, people think that hempcrete is a modern um, use of hemp, and it's not actually. And so, all right. So we got a startup business called Saluna out of Missouri. They're going to focus on producing seed for industrial purposes, and so I think they were already working on like 20 seeds. And again, they're basically going to be doing research to better the plant for food, fiber, and fuel, which is interesting because, um, basically they want to make a biodiesel using hemp, which we can do. There's a diesel engine right now that you can pour hemp right into, and it works the same. When Adolf Diesel invented diesel. It was a biodiesel originally. And it wasn't until later that the petrochemical companies realized that they could make this diesel out of oil, and that's where that went. Adolf should have been more, I don't know, he should have put a patent on oil-based diesel and then never made it. If only I could go back in time. And the things I would whisper in people's ears. Hey, Adolf Diesel, include oil from the ground in this, just so you can, keep it yours. Anyway, uh, but this is interesting. I don't know. I think it's great what they're doing. And the goal is always, yes, we want that fiber plant to be 20 feet tall. And again, we've seen that recently. The recent record set for a hemp plant is 24 feet tall. And the reason that that's great for the fiber industry is because that fiber runs basically from the bottom of the stalk all the way to the top. And so that adds to the strength of the strongest natural fiber. And that's one reason, probably the reason why it's the strongest natural fiber, stronger than flax, which is a long fiber, even bamboo, which is, I believe, a long fiber, but it probably grows as tall, but I think there's something different there. But it's because it's so tall. I mean, cotton's just tiny. Cotton is not that strong because it's just tiny little pieces having to be woven together. Whereas hemp are these big, long pieces. And again, you get the processors. One of the complaints about hemp fiber is every once in a while there's an inconsistent piece of fiber that might have like one of those little, what I call a fiber bump. And again, that's why they're kind of blending it. But I think now we should be able to process it to a smooth as silk, because you can weave it as smooth as silk and then make it into any consistency of fiber that you want, from silk to canvas, and everything in between, linen and muslin and all those things. And so, uh, again, that's the greatness of it. And so, yes, the goal is, and again, if we already know that cultivar, whatever that cultivar is that grew that 24-foot plant, and I don't know what it is, I could probably find out, or they're keeping it secret because they want to keep it to themselves, is the cultivar you want to grow for him. And that's the deal. So yes, if you're breeding to grow taller, well, I think they already exist. You just find out where they are and expand on that, I suppose. But and again, that's a latitude thing. Sometimes, the higher the latitude, from my understanding, the better for fiber it is. And I would think that, and again, when it comes to growing for the grain, I would think you would want, a shorter, bushier plant. Most of the grain plants I've seen are still 8 feet, 10 feet tall. And that is still producing fiber. That is still producing hurd. They just come along the top of the plants and cut that flower head off that's full of seed. And then you still have the stalk, which can be processed into those materials as well. And so, I think the goal there is to produce a larger seed. And so the goal for breeding, genetically modifying through breeding hemp grain, is to search for the one that produces a larger grain. And so you're getting more of that protein and omega-6, omega-3, and vitamins and minerals and all those things in a larger quantity per plant that the consumers need, not just want, but need for its health benefits. And as far as fuel, I think that's the same thing with the fuel is you want a larger grain. It's that grain oil. It's the same oil. When you go to the grocery store and you buy a bottle of hemp seed oil to make salad dressing, you can't fry with it, but salad dressings or a spoonful a day or however you want to do it, you make it into a lot of products. That's the exact same oil for the most part. It's just a refining thing. It's dependent on what it's doing. But, that you're going to throw in that diesel engine. You're going to make. Again, I inherited from my grandmother a couple of oil burning lanterns. They were empty. First thing I did with them is I just took some Manitoba seed oil, food grade seed oil, poured it right into there, let it soak into the wick, lit up just like that. It smells a little funny. Actually, it doesn't. It does not smell burning like anything that you will recognize because guess what? Most people don't burn hemp oil in anything, and so it's not a recognizable smell. But it worked. The rumor was that's what uh, Abraham Lincoln, when he was reading his books in his cabin in Kentucky, the rumor was, and it makes perfectly good sense to how much Kentucky was growing hemp, that oil was the seed oil from hemp. That was another part of hemp history. Uh, Everybody knows the history of Abraham Lincoln reading to the oil lamps, to become the smart, educated guy that he was to become the president. And nobody really ever talked about it was hemp oil. I don't know if people pictured it as the petrochemical oil or not. I don't know. I don't think so. Not at the time. I might be wrong, but maybe. I don't think so. So, yeah, I mean, these are the things that, people are isolating to, and sure. But we really know, we know the best. We know the best hemp right now, the cultivars for fiber. We know the best hemp. But there's always, there is so much room to grow there. And again, the goal is, yeah, produce a taller plant for fiber, produce a bigger, seedier plant for the food and the fuel aspect of it, for that matter. And once again, that seed, that whole plant is still viable to be used in the fiber industry, to be used in the hempcrete animal bedding industry. That's the beauty of that byproduct, which we're seeing more and more now, as well happen. More in Canada than here in the United States because, we're not nearly growing as much fiber or seed in the United States as we should be. All right, I got another one of those best lists that included a hemp product, and this is the longest name for a product ever in the history of time, I believe. So this is the 8 best products for thinning eyebrows, according to experts.
Nice.
The best tinted brow product here is a 2024 Oprah Daily Beauty Award, by the way. It's called Milk Makeup Kush High Roll Defining and Volumizing Tubing Brow Tint. And yes, I practiced that pre-show. But again, freaking kudos to whoever makes these best lists, because they once again include at least one hemp product. And kudos to the brand for not only putting Kush but high into the name of the product, when probably on the shelf no one has any idea that it's got hemp oil in it. So that's good. That was good stuff right there. All right. Well, we're going to leave you with this is what I love here. So it's four quick and healthy breakfasts with 30 grams of protein. Okay, 3 out of the 4 have hemp in them, which makes sense. Again, if you're going to make anything high protein, so here's the high protein yogurt. We'll leave this up here for a minute. Um, and again, I think with this one, I remember there's probably just with the hemp seed alone and that little bit amount, there's not a whole lot in it. Um, I think would be 5 or 10 grams of protein, just alone in the hemp. And the next one, which I love because I love me some scrambled eggs, a little spinach scramble. Again, super easy. You can add what we call the hemp hearts, the inside of the hemp seed, which is where all the nutrition is. It's soft. You can add that to, soups, um, oatmeal, scrambled eggs, anything like this to be mixed in with. And here's the thing: it's not going to change the taste. Just the little amount that you need to get the health benefits. It's not going to change the taste. It's probably not going to change the consistency a whole lot. Um, and so chili, all those things. You're getting the nutritional value out of just a couple tablespoons, and again, you're not compromising the food in any way. You're just making it healthier. And so basically, you can take those hemp hearts and add them into any omelet or scrambled eggs or everything but a hard boiled egg, and you could probably actually sprinkle on top of a hard boiled egg if you really wanted to, and get that nutritional value there. That's a lot of protein. You're really trying to get some protein in your diet. And then the last one's a good old peach smoothie. You definitely see, I think from the beginning of the show, we've been doing, hemp seed in smoothies. And so once again, this is just, if you're already making a smoothie, you take 2 tablespoons at the least amount, 2 tablespoons. And 2 tablespoons is going to be quite a bit of protein. Again, those omega-3, omega-6 essential fatty acids, minerals and vitamins, magnesium. I've been seeing a lot, man. Magnesium is like one of the key words I'm seeing out there as far as something that us older people need to be concerned about in our diet. And hemp has an amazing amount of magnesium in it. Amazing amount of magnesium. Folate, all these vitamins, once again, the health benefits are insane. So once again, adding them to anything is really a great idea. Just go to the grocery store, and I guarantee you your grocery store has hemp hearts on the shelf somewhere. And you might think they're a little pricey. But once again, don't look at it for the little amount that it may be. Look at it as the little amount that you need to add to your daily diet to get the health benefits. It's heart healthy, cholesterol free. It is known to satiate hunger. So it's speaking. I think that's that high protein and all those things. It sits in your gut longer and makes you feel full longer than the average food. This is a known fact. And so another great reason why adding it to your breakfast, because you can get yourself through the day a little bit longer without having to snack or whatnot. Um, and again, I'm not against portioning out small foods all day long. There's many different ways to eat as long as what you're eating is healthy. That's the key. And I'm not saying you can't have a snack at night and you treat yourself to something that may be unhealthy. But if, 90% of your diet, 80 to 90% of your diet is healthy. It's not about being on a diet, it's about having a healthy diet. And hemp is a big part of that. It'll make it easier for you at night to have a little unhealthy snack if you wanted to, or any time during the day, whatever. And again, I just read yet more proof that it's just stay away from heavily processed foods and dairy and cornstarch. But anyway, um, or high fructose corn syrup, I mean. But anyway, uh, there you have it. Okay, well, there's a couple events, and then we'll get everybody on their way. So this week, coming up August 15th through the 20th and August 23rd through the 28th, you have the Hemp Lime Hands-On Workshop in Parkdale, Oregon. That means you are going to help them build a structure and learn how to do all of that. So if you're interested in that, that's coming up. If you're anywhere out there or you want to go out there. September 18th through the 20th, you've got the Rocky Mountain Natural Building Conference in Bozeman, Montana. Going to be, hemp is moving its way into the building sector, and especially moving its way up to the top of the natural building sector. So should be a lot of good stuff, speakers and educated people out there on hemp. October 3rd through the 5th. This is the big one, in my opinion. It's the Hemp Building Symposium, Lower Sioux Indian Community. Again, I just saw another person added to the list as a speaker, Andrea Herman, who, again, has been in the pro-industrial hemp movement for as long as I can remember. It'd be interesting to ask her, exactly when she got started, but I know that she's been around for at least 20 years doing hemp stuff and moving into the legal hemp market and all those things. But and then the last one is October 10th through the 12th. You've got the Hemp Renaissance rebuilding Main Street in Princeton, Illinois. So, and I think what we're seeing is more communities actively agreeing to approve or encourage the use of hempcrete being used. So that's kind of, I think, what's going on here. So, and again, if you have a hemp event, industrial hemp event, not CBD, I don't need to know about those. Um, let me know about it. Hemptations@me.com or through Facebook. And we'll try to get it mentioned out there. Again, all you really have to do is post it to my Hemptations Beach Facebook page, and chances are I will see that and get it on if I can. So, all right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching the High Noon Hemp Show. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having Hemptations.
See y'all next week.